Hello, and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to take a look at a puzzle by a grandmaster among puzzle setters, Richard Stolk. Now, Richard is responsible for the longest running Sudoku series on the planet. It's been running for 7 years, a Sudoku variant series published on Logic Masters Germany. And believe it or not, it's up to number, I think, 266. It's something like that. It's an incredible run, and every time he publishes one of these puzzles on the forum, it gets hugely well rated. So we're very lucky to have this puzzle today. And I should thank Freddie Hand, actually, because Freddie wrote to me recently. Freddie's one of the UK's very best puzzlers, and he was solving a Sudoku on the Netherlands Sudoku website, which I'll link in the description to this video. By Richard, and it's another XV Sudoku like this one, and he said it was so beautiful, could we cover it on the channel? So I wrote to Richard and said, look, we're thinking of doing this one, and he said, oh no, don't do that one, I've got one much better, this one. So this one is 6 years old apparently, but Richard thinks that he's really proud of this one, so I'm really looking forward to trying it. Couple of announcements before I do that. What do I need to tell you? Yes, Mark has released a video on cryptic crosswords. He's got his latest Solve of the Times cryptic crossword. That's on Patreon, not behind the paywall, so anyone interested, do check that out over on our Patreon page. Also on Patreon, for those of you who do support the channel, we've got Kurt Hugo Snyder's solve of his own puzzle, his 6x6 jigsaw Sudoku. He sent me a video on how he thought about that and how one should go about solving it. So any of you who've been interested to see a solution path to that, check that out. It's a very interesting video. What else? I need to show you something. Look, I've been busy. I've designed a range of merchandise. So we've got some Cracking the Cryptic clothing now, and mugs and phone covers. Now I expect to see these everywhere once lockdown finishes. I mean, I expect to go out and just be, seeing these at every street corner. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, I think I'm certainly a bit proud of Chic Geek or Geek Chic or whatever you call this sort of thing. But yeah, this looks nice to me. Well, I would say that, seeing as I designed it, but I'd be very interested to know your thoughts. And let me find the puzzle again. Mustn't get distracted with merchandise. Right, here it is. Now, how do the rules of XV Sudoku work? Well, very simply, it's normal Sudoku, except you can see that some dominoes in the grid are connected by X's and V's. Now, if there is an X connecting two cells like that, those two cells have to sum to 10. If there's a V, they have to sum to 5, obviously from the Roman numerals. If there is no X or V, then this is very important. The cells cannot sum to 10 or to 5, and that negative constraint is normally extremely important for solving these puzzles efficiently, so do bear it in mind. Have a go at the puzzle. All you have to do is click on the link under the video. That will take you to this web page where you can play along. And with that, I'm going to have a go. Let's get cracking. Now, I suppose, do I have any tips for XV Sudoku? Yes, I have one tip, which is I like to try and use the negative constraint a lot. So at the moment I see this 1 and this 2 without an X or a V at their boundary, you can look at this box, for example, and we now know the 4 and the 9 have to be hidden in the corners of the box, because if the 4 or the 9 were in any of the yellow squares, there would need to be an X or a V between the 1 and that square. So similarly down here, it works the same for 3s and 8s. We can hide 3s and 8s in the corners. That one can't be an 8 actually, because it's part of a 5 clue. So that one can't be an 8 because it's part of an X clue. So if I put an 8 here, I have to put a 2 above it, and that repeats the 2 in the box. So the 8s are actually locked over to this side in box 8. Oh, but look, the 1 is in the same row as this V clue. So this V clue now can't be 1, 4, that's got to be 2, 3. So 2 is now also locked into the edges, look, of this box up here. Now, in this box, we've got 2 X clues we need to fulfill without using 2, 8 or 3, 7. So these have got to be 1, 9 and 4, 6 in some order. Not sure what that order is yet. So let's look at these 3 squares. They've got to be 5, 7 and 8. That one can't be 5 because it's part of an X clue. So if I put 5 here, I have to put 5 there. And in fact this one now we can narrow down. This square has to be a 3 or a 2 because it's part of a 10 clue. Yeah, okay. And now we can hone in a bit better on the 4s and the 9s, because we know that this dyad here is either going to have a 1, 9 in it. Now if it's 1, 9, the 9 has to be here in this box. If it's 4, 6, the 4 has to be here in this box. So this little cell cannot be anything other than a 4 or a 9. We don't know which yet, but it's definitely one of the 2. Five, where does it go in this box? Again, it can't be part of an X clue. Can't be there because we know it's up there somewhere. So it's got to be hidden away in one of these 2 squares. Similarly here, where does the 5 go? Can't be part of an X clue. Can't be there because of these 5. So 5 is shifted to one of these 2 squares. Okay. Obviously got a lot of clutter among cells down here, but I'm not exactly sure how to resolve this clutter. Oh, of course, right, hang on. Look over this side of the grid. We've got 2 horizontal dominoes here and vertical dominoes here. So if either of these vertical dominoes contain 1, 9 or 4, 6, this box breaks. Let me show you. If that's a 1, 9, obviously we'd get 4, 6 into both those squares. Well, that means that these 2 squares also have to be 4 and 6 because they have to add up to 10. And we get lots and lots of 4s and 6s in this box, and that would be wrong. So what we actually know is that this and this have to be either 3, 7 or 2, 8. This 2 means that can't be a 2, so this can't be an 8. Now that's very important for this clue. This can no longer be a 2, 3 sum, because if it is, both of those squares would equal 7. So this is a 1, 4 sum. That's not 3 anymore. Oopsie, I didn't mean to do that. Not 3. This square has got to be 6 or 9 to complete the 10 clue. This square's got to be 6 or 9. Oh, now hang on. Look down here. If we've got a V clue here. Now if this is a 2, 3, that also breaks this clue, look. Because if I put 2, 3 here, neither of these squares here can contain a 2 or a 3. So they'd have to be a 7 here and then 8 here. Or 7 and 8 don't add up to 10. They add up to 15. So this is not a 2 or a 3. This is a 1 or a 4. There's another V clue over there. That's got to be 2, 3 now. So this X clue is either 1, 9 or 4, 6. Look at that. There's a quadruple now in row 3 on the numbers 1, 4, 6 and 9. really see how to use that. Oh, that can't be a 1 though, so that can't be a 9. Okay. No, yeah. Well, this domino can't be 1 and 9 anymore, because if it is, this square would be a 4 and this square would be a 4. So this can't be 1, 9 and it can't be 2, 8. It could probably, yeah, I think it can be 3, 7 if it's that way round. 3, 7, that looks all right. 4, 6. Well, no, 4, 6 doesn't work either. Look at this. If this is 4, 6, if the 4 is on the top, that square is a 1, and this is broken now because there should be a V connecting these two squares together because they add up to 5. Now if it's the other way round, this square's a 1 now because of the 4 here, that square's got to be a 4, and this square becomes a 6 because of the X clue, and that doesn't work either. So this actually has to be 3 and 7. That means there's no 7 over here, which means there's no 3 above it. Now where does 3 go in this? Look, we've got 3's here and here, and 3's here, so this square's got to be a 3, that's got to be a 7. The 3's mean there's a 3 in one of those squares. Oh, this is very clever. Look, the negative constraint now on the 2's. So these 2's dotted round the grid, they force a 2 into one of those squares. Well, this one can't be a 2 because it's next to a 3 and it would need a V. So that has to be the 2. So that means there's a 2, 3 pair at the top now. Those 2 can't be 3's anymore. Ah, this is elegance personified. Where does 7 go in this box? Look, it can't go in those squares. Ordinarily you might stop there, but look, it can't go here because it would be next to a 3 and it would need an X. It can't go here, it would be next to a 3 and need an X. So actually, it has to go there, hidden away in the corner. That gives us a 7 up here. The 7 must connect to a 3 to make 10 up there. So that's 3, that's 2. That's a 3 now. That means that's a 7. Seven must be in one of those two squares because of the 7 down here. Ah, now of course, look, right at the start we talked about 4's and 9's. Where does 4 and 9 go in this row now? It can't go next to the 1. So these two squares have got to be 4 and 9. That's not a 6. So this is not a 4. This is a 4 or a 9. Oh, we've got this quadruple as well. I mustn't forget that. So these two squares are 5 and 8. Oh, this is very clever again. That square can't be an 8 because it's next to a 2. That is a 5. This is an 8. Where does a 1 go in that box? Look at that. Look. You can't put a 1 in either of those cells. Because if you do, it's always next to a 4 or a 9, and it's never next to it in a cell which has a symbol. So the 1 has to go there. Therefore, it has to be next to a 9. Oh, that's lovely. these two squares are 6 and 8 to complete the box. Well, look, there's a 4 there, so that's going to have to be next to the 8. The 1 here means this is not 1, 9. That means that's not 4, 6. 9s are not up here, therefore. This is the 9. The 2 can't be here because it would be next to a 3. So the 2 shifts over that side. That makes that one a 7, does it? Yeah. And this one a 4? Yeah. That 4 sees that 1, so that's very helpful. That resolves all of this clutter down here. 9 must be in one of those squares. It can't be here because that would then lead to a 1, which clashes here. In fact, what can this be? It can't be 2, 8, it can't be 1, 9, it can't be 4, 6. This can only be 3, 7, which does work. Goodness, I thought I might have broken it there, but no. That looks alright. 3, 7. The 3 sees the 3 and the 2 over that side. This column needs 1, 6 and 9 into these squares. Well, let's ask the... I was going to ask, actually I didn't see the 6 there, so it didn't matter. I was going to say this can't be 1, 9 because there isn't an X between them, but actually you can see the 6 here tells you it can't be anyway. Eight in this box can't go next to the 2, so 8 must be in one of those squares, and the 8's over there tell you which one it is. That's an 8. That means that's an 8. These two squares have got to be 4 and 5. There's a 4 here, so that's the 4. That's a 5. That's a 5, just unwinding pencil marks. This has got to be 1 or 9. These two squares have got to be 4 and 6. Ah, the 6 is resolved. So there's a 4 down there somewhere. And now look, along this, it keeps coming up, this negative constraint. This square's got to be a 1 or a 9 to complete the row. Well, it can't be a 1 because of the 4 here. So that resolves that. These squares have got to be 1, 4 and 5. Look at that, again it comes up. If this is 1, 4 and 5 and there's no symbols, I must keep the 1 and the 4 apart. So the 5's going to have to go there. It's a work of art, isn't it? I mean, there's no other word for it. It's art, this is. It's so lovely. Now, we need 1, 5 and 8 down here. So that's got to be a 5 or an 8. I keep trying to spot the negative constraint. Well, there, for example, look. That can't be a 1, look, because that would put a 9 here. This has to be 8. That's a 2, that's a 5, that's a 1. There's a 2 up there somewhere. In fact, the 2 must be here because look, in column 8 and column 9, we've got these pairs of 2's. So the 2 can't go there, can't go there. In column 7, it must be in one of these 3 squares and it can't be there. So that's the 2. The 3's work the same way. This has got to be a 3. The 8 fixes the 8 and the 5. Over here, therefore, that one must be a 5, that must be a 6. 6 goes in one of those squares. Keep trying to check for the negative constraint. What's the other digit we're missing here? We're missing 8, I think. Yeah. So 6 and 8. Can't see how to resolve it. So this should be 6, 8 or 9. Oh, we've got a 1, 4 pair there. Now that being the case, that's got to be a 6. The 9 can't be next to a 1, so that must fall that way. That fixes the 1, 9 up at the top. That 1 sees the 1, 4 here, and this 4 bounces back, look. And everything is starting to get resolved. Where does 6 go in this box? It can't go here. It can't go next to a 4 in either of those positions. It's absurd. Must go down there. Ones must be here. These two squares have got to include 5 and 9. Can we do that? Yeah. That's a 5. That's a 9. So these two squares have got to be 4 and 9. That looks okay as well. That resolves the 9 and the 6 over there. That's a 4, I think. Hopefully I can fill that in with something that's not come up yet in the puzzle. Yeah. 8, 3, 3, 2, 2, 7, 7. And if I haven't made a mistake, 5. Looks all right. There we go. That's how to do it. I hope you enjoyed it. What a wonderful little puzzle. And yeah, we'll be back later on with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.